Hello and welcome to the David Mamano Show. You guessed it. I am David Mamano. Every week we're bringing you just nuggets and just great knowledge dumps of information that will help you to not only be a great entrepreneur, innovator, achiever, but just be the best person you could possibly be. And who the heck doesn't want that? So thank you so much for listening and or watching. If you are listening, we are on YouTube. If you are watching, we're on Spotify, Apple, etc. And thank you so much. I know there are...
Isn't it the reverse?
What did I say?
If you're watching, you're on YouTube.
If you're watching,
if you're listening, you're on
whatever. If you're watching,
I'm here to help you out, buddy.
If you're watching, you could also go on Spotify and listen. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh,
just so we know this all true.
I think you want another guest at this point.
So Avi just jumped in. Welcome to the show, Avi Mirman. I had a really nice intro for you, but
sorry, man.
This is you. Just so everybody knows, Avi and I, Avi Mirman. Welcome, Avi.
Thanks.
We go back. I think we figured out almost 35 years. Is it right?
So, I think it's 37.
37 years. We went to college together. We went to university at Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo, which is known in my mind as the Harvard of SUNY, right?
That is true.
Absolutely. It's a great, great school. And we went there back in the 1900s. We're from the 1900s, late 80s, early 90s. And we've been friends since. We've been brothers since. We're fraternity brothers, Sigma Alpha Mu. Go Sammies.
Go.
Fast and firm.
Rocket.
Yep. And so we got some great conversations to go today. So what I want to do is, so Avi and I, first of all, this is part two. This is a long time coming of part two. We had part one, about 5 years ago. Time flies, right? And Avi had shared, and I'm going to put the link to part one in the show notes. It's one of my top, actually on YouTube, it is the top most watched interview I've had ever.
Wow.
Because you're so good looking. And it was a lot of great information as well. But Avi tells his story, basically growing up, going to college, and then, getting into the investment world, and then having his investment company invest in an oil company that started out doing well. And instead of just letting it go, Avi, and you're going to learn more about this when you listen, I won't get into too many details, but most investment company people would be like, oh, too bad, that company losing money, bankruptcy, whatever. He said, no, I want to try to save this. He became CEO of the company, didn't know a lot about the oil business, so took another step and ended up getting his MBA master's in, what was the major, oil management or something?
Energy business.
An
MEB.
Yeah, at the University of Tulsa, right?
Correct.
And he got wow, and then a huge success story from there. So, and now I call him my oil tycoon friend. You like that? Do you like being called my oil tycoon friend?
Not really.
Good, I'm going to do it more. So, quick little update about Avi here. So Avi is, he has been and always will be an investment banker. It's in his blood. Like once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine, right? So can't get that out. But also currently a serial entrepreneur, a business leader whose career spans more than 2 decades across finance, energy, and philanthropy. A graduate of the State University of New York with a degree in political science, Mirman has held senior leadership roles, guiding companies through significant restructurings and strategic growth phases. He now is at the age of 55. He is retired. And I think you're busier than ever. So retired is maybe the wrong word, right? This is kind of like Avi Mirman 3.0. Maybe that's safe to say. But taking this next part of his life to do great things. He still sits on multiple boards in the oil and gas industry. So beyond what he's doing with all that, he's always been and now focusing on his passionate just love for real world education and talent development. He founded the entrepreneurial spirit, something called Operation Inspire at the University of Buffalo School of Management, which we're going to talk about. It's a unique experiential learning initiative that gives multidisciplinary student teams the opportunity to engage, get this, as a student, to engage in actual mergers and acquisitions, not just simulations. These are actual deals as their students. They identify targets, they perform evaluations, they structure deals, they raise capital, all under his mentorship. Again, this is at the University of Buffalo. Avi's career is defined by ambition, focus, and a willingness to engage complex challenges head on. Whether turning around energy plays, building a platform for deal-making education, or engaging the next generation of business leaders, his story offers a compelling bridge between high-stakes corporate deal-making and mission-driven talent development. Wow. How does that make you feel?
You did a really good job writing that.
Not
man.
too bad,
wow.
right? Not too bad. I know a lot more about you, so I made this rated G. But yeah. So very, very impressive. So we left off, that you had taken over the company and you were starting, your own oil company shortly thereafter, right? You went to Tulsa. We talked about. I want to start out too something that. We reviewed this in interview number 1, but I want to hit it again because it was so game-changing for you. When you were getting your advanced degree, you learned something called PLOC. I want to hit that again because it's so important for everybody. So tell us more about how that was a game-changer for you.
Sure. It's POLC.
Oh, that time dyslexic?
But who cares?
Yeah, close enough. It's all ball bearings these days, so.
Well, thanks, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, brother.
Of course.
Really great
Thanks
to
for
see
coming
you
up
again.
to lovely
and
Rochester.
You haven't aged at all, man.
You're
maybe
so
a little
sweet.
gray here, but otherwise.
A little touch.
You're still gorgeous.
The nose never stops growing. That's how you know how old I am. It's like a tree trunk, you can tell.
Well, again, thanks for having me. This is the second podcast I've ever done. The first was with you.
Oh, my God.
5 years ago.
All right. Never cheated on me. Thank you.
I did not cheat on you. I just, it's... Anyway, we left it off with POLC. So what I didn't know when I went back to school was that as an executive, as somebody who's running a business, 90% of the time, your time should be devoted to planning, not executing. Mm-hmm. It's like baking a cake, right? You're not going to take ingredients, throw it into a baking pan, and just hope for the best. You've got to come up with a plan. Mm-hmm. In context of reaching a goal. So first we establish a really clear goal. I want to bake this beautiful prize-winning chocolate cake, using an example. That's my goal. Great. What's the plan? The plan's a recipe. Tells me exactly what to do, a step-by-step guide on how to come up with this beautiful cake, right? Then we identify resources. That's the O part. So P is the recipe. O is identifying all the ingredients and other things you need. Maybe it's flour. Maybe it's, chocolate chips. Maybe it's a baking pan. Maybe it's a stove. Maybe it's an oven. But you have to identify all resources, both internal and external, in pursuit of the ultimate goal, which is in context of that plan. Then once you have the recipe and you've got the resources identified, then you lead, L. And L is important, obviously, because that's when you put things into action. But the most important part, and I'm telling you 90% of CEOs and other executives do not do this because they sip their own Kool-Aid and think things will never go wrong, is the last piece. It's C, controlling. Mm-hmm. So what's controlling? Controlling is assessing and adjusting if needed. And nothing ever happens out of the gate. No, nothing ever happens the way you planned out of the gate. Things change all the time. You know this as a business owner, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that you had this beautiful business that was in the print advertising space for universities, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens? Then the internet is born and advertisers are calling you and they're saying, hey, David, we love you, but we may need to do a little bit of a pivot here. We're going to go into digital. What could have happened, I'm not going to talk about the outcome of your business, you could do that, is we could have assessed, the environment surrounding the business and then kind of pivot and see if it's actually the same path we want to take. If you're a baseball pitcher and you've been a Cy Young Award winner for 2 or 3 years straight, and then the next year you're getting beaten to hell, everybody's hitting home runs off of you, something's wrong. You can't just keep doing what you're doing. You've got to assess things. So what coaches do, they'll look at your mechanics, they'll look at your delivery, they'll look at, your shape, and they'll say, okay, we want to get back on track. That's our assessment. Now what do? We have to adjust. We'll adjust your mechanics. We'll adjust your delivery. We'll adjust this stuff, and we'll keep trying. So I think that's the secret sauce to the POLC concept. Developing a plan, identifying a goal, developing the plan, organizing resources, leading into action, and then assessing how you're doing as you're acting.
That's awesome. You made me think, have you ever read the book called Atomic Habits?
No.
You would love it because it's kind of talking what you're talking about now, but they add on trying to get a little bit better every year? Like what else can we do to get a little bit better? And just the compound effect of that.
Yeah.
And he goes back in time where the English bicycle team was abominable for many, many years, like placed last in the Tour de France, et cetera. And then they revamped, or they started looking at the aerodynamics of the bikes, and how could we change the equipment that the riders are wearing. And just they got a little bit better every year. And within I think like 8 years, they started winning because I think they were doing what you're talking about, and then adding on like, let's get a little bit like, what else can we do? What else can we do? And they're little tiny things that alone you're probably like, that's no big deal. But you add up like 100 of those things, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, right?
Totally. Totally.
So
you have to have a clear goal, man. You need to know where the end zone is. You need to know where the net is. It's not good enough to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I could be the fastest runner in, the NFL, but if I'm going in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter. I need to know where that end zone is. I could be a top basketball player. Nobody can guard me. But unless I know my goal, which is clear, which has to be put the ball in the net, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So sure, hard work's great, but you need to have a goal. You need to have a direct path to get there. You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Part of the C part 2 for me on the assessment side, as far as business is concerned, are financial models. Let me explain that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our goal is to build a company from 0 sales to $10 million in sales in X time frame. Let's call it 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can reverse engineer, what we need to do in terms of increments to get there over time. That could be monthly increments, it could be quarterly increments, it could be weekly increments. Mm-hmm. But it's not just a sales guy who goes out and sells, right? You have a complete support team. Like in oil and gas, right? If our goal is to generate sales equal to X, we know what the price of oil is, and we know how many barrels of oil we have to produce. But it's not just somebody going out and selling oil. We have engineers, we have landmen, we have geologists, we have finance departments, accounting, so on and so forth. So what I do, and I would urge all your listeners to do the same thing, because it makes sense, right, is this model, which is a forecast for you. It's a guide. Should not just be shared with finance. It shouldn't just be shared with, an investor who comes in and wants to take a look at your future cash flows. It should be shared with everybody, because what happens is every month you have a goal, right? We start at 0. We want to get to 200,000 month 2, just throwing numbers out, right? I get every single department head in a room, and I say, okay, let's take a look if we hit the goal for the month. If we haven't hit it, and we've assessed that we haven't hit it, what did we do wrong? What could we have done differently? What's the strategy moving forward? Should we reevaluate our goals for the next month? So on and so forth. And it's really cool, because what you're doing is you're including all the people in your business in strategy, and nothing makes people feel better than being included in brainstorming and coming up with solutions.
Yeah.
That is an incredibly important part of C, of the POLC. It's you have to constantly assess where you are in your plan and then adjust.
Yeah. That's probably the best culture tip I've ever heard, because you can have all the birthday parties in the world to make people feel good, whatever, field trips, but nothing brings them to be more engaged if they're all involved, right? There's transparency. There's nothing behind the curtain, right? And they feel like maybe they're not even an owner, but they feel like an owner.
What's really cool, though? In our brainstorming sessions, I always invite somebody who knows nothing about the topic whatsoever, like a receptionist or somebody else. So, for example, in the oil and gas world, we want to come up with a plan for X. Let's say we want to drill X number of wells, but, we have some challenges. Maybe we're hitting what we call chert, which is incredibly hard rock and makes us take a lot longer to drill a well. How do we deal with that? Or maybe the price of oil is low, or maybe something else is happening. So I'll invite a landman, an engineer, a geologist, a receptionist.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing, dude, is that some of the greatest ideas come from the places you least expect, because they're not like boxed into their thinking. They're not programmed a certain way.
Right.
They're thinking in a different kind of box, and they're thinking logically, and they're thinking, and pragmatically. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I've seen people who aren't experts in respective disciplines provide the solution. It's bananas, and I love it. And think about how good that feels, by the way.
Right.
You're a single mom, you're a receptionist. By the way, I'm giving you an actual story. You're a single mom, you're a receptionist. You're making $40,000 a year. You're now invited into an executive team discussion.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, what am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Man.
And then we all talk, we brainstorm, and then I say, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
She freezes. I'm like, it's cool. We're all friends here. It's all good. We're here to just, hit the goal. What do you think? What are we missing? What can you come up with?
Right.
Then she starts talking, and it's like a eureka moment. Everybody's like, oh my God, why didn't we think of that?
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it's also a major show of respect to all employees at a company because they all have something to contribute.
Yeah.
That's my
huge.
opinion.
Yeah. I don't think it's an opinion. I think it's a fact because well, first of all, you're bringing somebody who, can see the forest through the trees, right?
Yep.
They don't have all these preconceived notions.
Right.
That movie about Ray Kroc, about the McDonald's journey, right? I think it was the receptionist that came up with the name Big Mac. I think they were trying to name the burger, and she was like, how about Big Mac? And Ray was like, that's it, right? I think that receptionist had a job for life.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah, it's The Founder. That's the name of the movie. And even my own experience, I remember, going back when I was running my magazine in the heyday, I started hiring people and we started getting a little ahead of ourselves with the cash flow. We only published during the school year, right? Because we would distribute at high schools. So all of our cash came in September and through June. And the summer was like the doldrums because we didn't have a lot of cash flow, right? And then when I started hiring people, I got a little ahead of myself. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to run out of cash this summer. So I brought in a consultant to help us analyze it. He didn't know anything about the publishing industry, nothing about magazines. He asked me, how do you bill? I said, well, we bill every issue, September, November, every other month during the school year. He goes, why? I said, that's the way it's done. Like when you run a print, it could be a newspaper or a magazine, it prints. You rip out their ad from the magazine to prove that it ran, and you send it with the invoice. He's like, okay, so that's the way everyone else does it? He goes, when do you get the order? I said, well, colleges are advertisers. They get their budgets approved in May, June for the next school year. He goes, so that's when you get the order? I said, yeah. He goes, why don't you bill them then for the whole school year? And no, they can't do it. They won't prepay. He goes, why don't you try? Why don't you just try? Because people would buy, they usually wouldn't buy one issue. They'd buy like 3 issues, 5 issues,
Sure.
volume discounts. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. So in June, I sent out probably about $3 million worth of invoices for the school year that I had booked. Mm-hmm. That normally I would wait. Mm-hmm. About 60% of the clients paid the full year up front. I had more cash that summer than I ever had before.
That's awesome.
And I was like, and I had calls from these people saying, hey, thanks for billing us just once. It was so much more convenient, right? And I only say that, story because it's proving your point. This guy, this consultant, he wasn't the receptionist, but he was an outside consultant. He knew nothing about my industry, but he was able to give me like one of the most amazing ideas that the company ever had, right? So,
yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. It's a great lesson. And remember Jeffrey Gittimore? Jeffrey Gittimore he wrote the Sales Bible, the Little Red Book of Selling, big sales guy back in the day. And he would recommend that, salespeople, CEOs, like go to different industry conferences that have nothing to do with your business. Like, for instance, I met him and I said, I told him the industry I'm in, publishing. He goes, go to a construction conference. Just because you're going to get ideas from other industries that you can bring into your company that you never would have thought of. Right?
I agree 100%. I completely agree. And, there are 2 ways to inspire an employee. One is economically. Mm-hmm. You can give stock in a public company or options or bonus structures based on certain performance. That's great. Mm-hmm. You know what works better? Respect, acknowledgement. Identifying a solution they came up with in front of a huge group. That feels amazing. You go home, you feel like a complete champ. And it's a beautiful thing. To watch.
I love it.
It's really cool, man.
I love it. So let's get back to you in your journey. So, last time we spoke, and you had started your own oil company, and so tell us about what happened next, lesson learned, and we'll get into the amazing thing you're doing today for the students at University at Buffalo, and maybe beyond.
Ooh. All right, this is fun. So, I went back to school at Tulsa for an MBA with an energy focus and MEB. Mm-hmm. And I took a class called Leading and Managing Energy Organizations. And I think I described that in the first podcast. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I went, and I don't know that I mentioned that in the first podcast, was that, we had just completed an acquisition of a company for $17 million in stock, contemporaneously with a $20 million convertible preferred stock offering. Which, by the way, was the only company in the nation to have closed at that time. This is middle of 16. Oil had gone down to the 20s. OPEC had opened up the floodgates and said, we hate American shale producers. They're ruining everything. They're not part of our group, OPEC. And so the way to put them out of business is we're going to just open up the faucet, open up the floodgates of oil and gas, force the price of oil to go to a level where they can no longer survive, and they'll file for bankruptcy. We're wiping them all out, and then we'll take the price of oil back up by, limiting production, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And it worked. I think 200 companies filed for bankruptcy around that period. I decided that's not going to happen. I had just restructured the company, and now many of my friends were investors and pregnant with the name. And the last thing I was going to do was going to betray them. And they said, hey, listen, man, you don't control the price of oil. We don't blame you. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit. You know what? I just don't want, I don't want to file for bankruptcy. I just don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I eliminated most of our G&A, and I kept a CFO and general counsel, and we put our banker hats back on and looked for tactical acquisitions that had what we call great rock, meaning a lot of oil in place, a great technical team, engineers, geologists, geophysicists, landmen, but no ability to do what we do, the banking portion, right? Coming up with capital, restructuring a balance sheet, all that good stuff. But again, I really didn't know much about oil and gas. But I made the acquisition, and we closed. Fast forward. I go to school, and we're tasked with splitting up into teams of about 4 or 5 people each and looking at a company and developing a case study for it. Complete simulation, complete case study, all theoretical, all hypothetical. And I told my team, who I miss dearly, by the way, Caden, Seth, Tunde, me, pretty amazing. 2 engineers, a landman, and me, a finance guy. So guys, why simulate? I just bought this company for $17 million. I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Let's take the tools we're learning in school and apply it in real time, in real life, on a real deal. Mm-hmm. See how it goes. We did. And in a year and 2 months, in 14 months, we took that company, which was on the pink sheets in the market, the lowest market possible, to the bulletin board, to the NASDAQ small cap, to the global market, and then up to the New York Stock Exchange, and went from a $17 million value to a $550 million market cap and enterprise value, including preferred stock and debt, of about $800 to $900 million from 17 in 14 months.
Right.
Top performing energy stock in the nation for 2 years, end of 16 and 17. We were written up in articles all over the world. It was bananas. It was amazing. Let's fast forward. Do you have any questions? I'll keep going.
I love it. Keep on going. Keep on flowing.
But, what was proven was that we undervalue students. Oh, they're students. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, we're not going to give them a chance. Even in internships, it's bananas. I speak to some people. So what do you do with these interns? Well, they get me coffee. Mm-hmm. They'll file stuff. They're going to file a cabinet for me. If I need them to work on something, I do. But in reality, they're pigeonholed into one little tiny function under supervision without understanding all the context of what they're doing, because we don't respect them. They don't know what they're doing. They're like, guppies at this point in time. They basically know how to swim. Well, I'm telling you, everybody who's listening, you're 1,000,000% wrong. You have no idea what happens when somebody's heart and passion and soul catch fire, because you can learn stuff on the fly that you've never learned in school. That's experiential learning at its finest. So anyway, fast forward. Mm-hmm. So one of our fraternity brothers, Jonathan Chu, is getting awarded International Businessman of the Year at an Alumni Association dinner at University of Buffalo. He invited me and a few of our other brothers to come. Let's do a shout out to them, by the way. Peter Nussbaum, Haji, and Gab, his wife. Yeah. John McGuire, Meringue, Dennis Ryan, Ali, me. And we're sitting at a table watching our brother get this beautiful award. And I'm sitting next to this little guy, and I introduce myself. Hey, my name's Avi. How's it going? Hi, my name's Satish. I'm like, hey, Satish, nice to meet you. And, we keep talking, whatever. And then I'm like, so what do you do here? Mm-hmm. I'm the president. I'm like, oh, the Alumni Association? This is a really nice dinner. The food selection's fantastic. Right. No, Abby, no. I'm the president of the school. So I was like trying to hide under the table. Like, is that who you are? It's so funny, But the relationship was started. He's actually a phenomenal man, and
I met him a few times. Yeah,
he's great. I mean,
guy.
I love the man. He's really fantastic. He's brilliant. He's driven. He loves students. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He has refaced that school, if you ask me. So shout out to Satish. We're going to miss you when you retire, I think in like 8-9 months.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I was approached by certain people who are in the advancement department, which are the people who look for donors who are former UB alumni. And we started a conversation. And we started talking about a significant donation for me. And, the pitch was, well, why don't you put money into the endowment fund? The state now is matching what you put in by 50%. So if you put $1 in, they put in 50 cents.
Yeah.
And I told them it's not really interesting to me putting money into an endowment. I think I could do better with my own money in terms of investment returns. And I'm not really big on, living off a little interest. It's actually 4%. So if you put X dollars in, 4% actually gets spit off back to operations for a school. And I thought that was just really kind of stupid when you talk about the time value of money, the ability to actually put money to work. So I said, hey, let's come up with a plan. Show me what your goals are, and then let's develop a plan to get there. I'd like to deploy all the capital now. And so...
Did they know how to answer that at first, or were they kind of stunned?
I don't think any donors really tasked them with that. They told me that I drive them up the goddamn wall.
Yeah. Well,
you're a lot. I mean, to be honest, you're a handful.
Right.
That's what I heard. Oh, you're a fire-breathing dragon. You're a little nuts.
You're like, yes, I know, and
that is true. But I said, guys, look, they're
probably like Avi. Most people just want a freaking, foyer named after them, or a building named after them, right?
And I said, that's really not interesting to me. It's nice to have that, but it's not an ego-driven decision as far as making a donation is concerned. It's about outcomes. It's about goals being achieved and a plan to get there under POLC. Anyway, I learned that when it comes to rankings at schools, there are different things that figure into that calculation, right? When you, for example, were in high school and you started looking for universities, you may have gone to like U.S. News and World Report to take a look at the rankings of certain schools, or their business schools, or their medical schools, or their dental schools, or their law schools, or whatever the case is. Bloomberg does it, Fortune does it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about goals, right? Getting the rankings up. So 65% of the weightings towards rankings are directly related to student outcomes, how they do when they graduate.
Yeah.
I think 25%, for example, and you guys can go on AI or Google this, 25%, for example, is directly connected to the average salary and bonus somebody receives year one. And then there's longevity that comes into it. There's selectivity of getting into the program. There's peer review from other professors at other schools based on student outcome stuff. So to me, it's like light bulb. Okay, student outcomes are how you get the rankings up. So let's say a big donation comes in. What do you do to get the student outcomes up? I'm not going to go into all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally your business mind. Like
it's goals and a plan.
Right. Yeah.
Simple. And I said, hey, look, put a financial model together. Okay. I want to take a look if one of the goals is to improve your balance sheet, to improve your financial standing. Okay. That's the goal. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Show me what a donation of X dollars does in terms of improving your balance sheet or your financial condition. So anyway, in all these conversations, I saw a lot of slides that really kind of bothered me, and they didn't know that at the time. But for example, one of the slides said that 75% of employers report that 6 out of 10 students they hire are fired in the first 3 months.
First 3 months.
First 3 months.
So 60%. Yeah. Right.
60% are fired.
Right, are fired. Right, yeah.
In the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's like, why the fuck would I go to school, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, borrow money that's going to, bury me,
right,
to not improve my life? I mean, isn't the reason I go to school to get the tools I need to have a better life, to get a better job, to get more money, blah, blah, blah.
To thrive, right?
It's why you go to school.
Right, yeah.
But I'm looking at all these things and I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm looking at the average salary of somebody with an MBA graduating, and it's $86,000. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? That's it?
Right.
You go to undergrad, then you go to a master's program or an MBA. I'm like, no, something is missing. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, park that for a second. I kind of like walked away from the whole endeavor. I was kind of like, just, this isn't interesting to me at all, this donation thing, because like, I want to know how you're getting there.
Yeah.
Show me.
You want to put your money to work.
I want to see how money can help improve outcomes and your goals, which is to up your rankings and up your balance sheet or financial condition.
Right.
Anyway, and I annoyed the shit out of them, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to.
Well, these are academia people. They're not hearing this stuff, right? They're just kind of doing their job teaching, and they're like, "What?" You know, like they probably didn't. They probably didn't know how to deal with you.
No, they're so programmed into, you know, a certain manner when it comes to donors. Hey, we have this endowment fund.
Yeah.
Why don't you put money into the endowment fund and we'll put your name on a building?
Yeah.
Or we'll put your name on a bench. Or we'll name a flower pot after you, whatever. You know. By the way, I bring that up because like Haji, Peter Nussbaum, named a bench after my daughter for a donation to his farm, Tamerlane. Yeah, so it's actually very funny. You guys should go to tamerlane.org, check it out, make donations. Funny. He's an absolute angel. He rescues animals. From slaughterhouses, basically.
Anyway, so you could sit on the Mirman bench over there. Is that what you're saying?
It's not the Mirman bench; it's the Alina bench.
Okay,
Shout out to Alina, my beautiful daughter.
Awesome, love her. Beautiful.
She wants to be a veterinarian, so she came up to Haji's.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So I kind of parked the whole conversation, and then I was invited to come speak at UB to talk about my background, which I was like, all right, I'm not really sure anybody gives two flying F's about my background, but I'll go. I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So I went, and it was like standing room only. I had no idea. It was like 200 plus students from the Masters in Finance program, MBAs, marketing, some other students or whatnot.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did on the board was I wrote my corporate vision that I've had at every one of my companies. And it's not your normal kind of corporate vision that is, you know, associated with the company itself. It's more like a guiding principle for life, in my view.
Yeah.
And the vision is to enjoy our lives to the fullest extent possible, to improve the lives of people around us, and to take immense joy and pride in who we are and what we do every single day.
Yeah.
And that's how I created like the tone for the meeting. I'm like, I'm not here to talk about like companies and business. I'm talking about your life now.
Yeah.
So like the way I started that whole talk really was about, all right, well, you've spent all this money on an education. Now what? Do you have a job? Do you know what you're doing? Are you lost? Don't worry. Most of us are lost. And I went through all that stuff and I created a connection. Hey, I'm a former UB student. I get it. I lived in Red Jacket. You know, I lived on Main Street. I lived on Heath Street. I lived on Springville, you know, all the local streets for the off-campus housing. And I really try to connect with them all. But before I actually came to this meeting, I did diligence and I looked at, which by the way, everybody who's a salesperson, important. Know the person that you're going to be meeting. You need to show interest in that person and that you took the time to actually research who they are, what they do, what means a lot to them, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I looked into the curriculums of all, you know, the programs that were representative in that meeting before I got there. And I wanted to see what classes they're taking, you know, financial modeling, valuation work, this, that, whatever. And so as I'm on, you know, like the spotlight on me as I'm talking, I said, hey, by the way, through a show of hands, I noticed that you're taking this class, that class, this class, and that class. Have you guys ever actually seen this stuff in real life? You know, in action? Show of hands. No. You never interfaced with a company before? No. You never called a company, negotiated a transaction, or worked on a financial model for a company? Well, there were like these clinics, right? But they're truly just compartmentalized. They're like internships, if you ask me, you know, where you're still not getting the respect. So I said, hey, how would you feel about taking these tools and actually applying them in real life? On a real deal, using real money. You will be negotiating directly with companies. You'll be talking to their management teams, to boards of directors. We'll get in the plane. We'll, you know, have a conversation. When it comes to capital providers like private equity or hedge funds or family offices or high net worth or credit shops or whatever, you're putting the presentation materials together. You are going to get on a Teams call or a Zoom call. You are going to walk them through the pitch deck on a real deal, and you're going to close. How would you guys like to do the whole place to hand?
I would say all hands went up, right? Yeah.
I want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's do it. So Went back home, and then, by the way, Professor Mike Brace is the one who invited me, who's like a brother to me today. He's my partner in Operation Inspire. He's actually a magnificent human being.
Yep, I know Mike.
Shout out, Mike. Yep. And we went to work, we went through a lot of red tape. We had to speak to general counsel, assistant general counsel, advancement, other people at the school.
And you already knew the president.
Yeah. I did present to him. I presented to the dean of the school of management, Anant Iyer, who's another amazing human being, who has opened up the resource availability of UB to helping us actually be successful. We'll talk about that in a second. But we launched on July 24th.
This year, 2025.
We got a ton of applications.
How many applications?
I would say several hundred. And then we conducted a couple hundred interviews, and we selected 36, 37.
So very competitive.
Super competitive. Creme de la creme. I think a decent percentage are all valedictorians of their former schools, which is crazy. I mean, but not just smart, all right? Like driven, hungry, passionate, a desire to win, that's really what I was looking for. See, the lesson here is it doesn't matter what you know. I could take somebody who's a complete piece of clay, who doesn't know anything. I was a political science major, and I became an investment banker who closed hundreds of mergers and acquisitions. Right. I raised billions of dollars. I didn't know shit from school. I learned it all on the fly. I could take somebody.
But you had the attitude. You had the drive.
You need the hunger, the passion, the drive, the determination. You want to change your life. I want to change my life. I today commit to changing my life. And I want to do everything I could possibly do to do that. I can work with that. I'll give you an example. A long time ago, I'd say like 13, 14 years ago, I got sick and tired of paying legal fees to outside attorneys for our business. I got sick and tired of it. I hated it. It was like $300,000-$400,000 a month.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So, and it wasn't a huge company at that point. And I said, all right, I need to bring in general counsel who's going to save me a ton of money. Hire him for like $250,000 a year, 300, whatever, instead of spending, $4 or $5 million a year for lawyers who aren't even going to give you full time, right?
Yeah.
Interviewed 20 attorneys, some with significant corporate and securities experience, some with oil and gas experience, none with both. And then I found this young lady, Ariella Fuchs, who is today one of my closest friends and the trustee for my children, for example, just to show you how close I am.
Wow.
She was a 6th-year attorney at Baker Botts, mega firm, in oil and gas, by the way. But she didn't have anywhere near the experience as some of the other candidates that I had interviewed. What she did have was drive and determination and heart.
Yeah. She was full of piss and vinegar. Eh?
I mean, she was an absolute killer.
You felt it.
And she's still a killer.
Yeah.
And I went with my gut. I went with the most underexperienced person. And today, I put her up against any attorney anywhere.
Wow.
I've seen her on the phone just manhandle people.
Yeah.
She learned everything there is to know about oil and gas. All the different documents required. She knew a lot about corporate securities. But today, I'd put her up against anybody. And she's practical. She's logical. She's not one of these people who just like talks for the sake of, hearing themselves talk. Amazing. So hunger, drive, passion, determination, a will to win. That is what is important to me.
Yeah.
So after we finalized our teams, the cohort of 36, 37 students, we then developed the goal. Buy a company. That's the homework.
Yeah, like for real.
Buy a real company. That's your homework.
Yeah, not a simulation.
Nope. And how do you do that?
Yeah.
So we broke the cohort into teams based on their own disciplines. So strategic planning is always the first thing I do ever. I want to know where the end zone is. I want to know where the basket is. I want to know what the goal is.
This is the P, the planning phase.
The goal is set as part of the P phase. Then we put together the plan, organize, lead, control. Excuse me. But the strategic plan must be put in place. By the way, they did it. Could be one of the best I've ever seen.
Wow.
By far.
Yeah.
And I'll get more into that. The next phase is industry research. So look for a deal that you like. What does that look like? Maybe an undiscovered gem. Maybe it's a distressed asset that's got amazing assets but poor management or, no ability to raise capital. Maybe it's a company with an upside down balance sheet. Maybe it's, some emerging technology, whether it's tech, maybe it's biotech, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like I want you guys, because you're now experts on, data evaluation. They learn all these tools in school, right? I want you to take that and use it in real life. So we actually broke up our team for industry research into 7 sub-teams. Each one of them put a POLC document together, and they had a list of questions they asked themselves in terms of, okay, what kind of deal are we going to be looking for? So they would say, okay, what is the minimum MOIC and IRR that we want as far as an exit in the event that we buy this company? How predictable is it? How much cash is going to be needed? This is really cool, man. So I'd love to send that to you afterwards. You could actually include it in a link. It's bananas what they were able to do.
Yeah.
Then once the industry is identified, and they identified 7, then there's target identification evaluation. Then there's structuring a transaction with the issuer, meaning you have to talk to management and negotiate a transaction, deal structuring, deal negotiating. Then there's diligence, which includes putting together a new financial model. So these students in school don't really learn complex modeling. They learn what we call DCF, so discounted cash flow models, which I consider the kindergarten version of modeling, right? No. I threw them into the deep end of a pool, and I said, okay, this is a deal that you guys have selected. They selected a deal. I'm going to keep it nameless for now.
Yeah.
I want you to put together a complex model, and here are your directives. We need goals before we do anything, right? So the goal is play with multiple different capital scenarios, okay? Dollar amounts, the structure of the capital coming into the business, whether it's debt, whether it's preferred stock, whether it's common stock, whether it's a combination of all. And then come up with the scenario that provides the highest return to the investor, highest MOIC, so that's multiple uninvested capital, highest IRR, while trying to provide the least risk scenario. And they did. They came up with 7 different scenarios. They selected one, and they have now presented that to multiple private equity shops, some of which have given commitments on a deal.
Wow.
It's never been done before
These are 20,
in American
20-year-old
educational
quote-unquote
history.
kids.
Sick. It's crazy. One kid, was born in a refugee camp, in Nepal.
Wow.
We'll get to what I call career manifestos in a second.
Yeah.
And he literally grew up in a bamboo hut.
And now he's doing M&As.
And him and his family, who, by the way, made $5 a day in a refugee camp and were relying on refugee services to eat, came to the U.S. looking to pursue his dream. Sickest thing. And presented this information like a rock star. I'd put him up against any analyst that I've seen. I've worked with the Goldman Sachs of the world, Jefferies, largest oil and gas investment bank, in the United States, the most active.
He was right up there with them.
They cannot compete with these students.
Wow.
I will put them up against any bank.
Wow.
Because with one bank, I'm not going to mention the name, working on a deal, a $500 million transaction, right? I'm going through their analysts like laundry. Like every 2 months they're leaving.
Right.
And where do they get these analysts from? Other banks who've been doing it for a year or out of school.
Right.
So it's like, who needs an investment bank? These kids could do it on their own.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so target identification, structuring a transaction, due diligence, then you put together a 1-pager, which is a marketing material piece, then a full pitch deck, and then a complete closing checklist on what to do. And then we have law school students too. When you do a deal, it's really document intense, right? So for those of you listening that do deals or have bought a company or want to buy a company and you're an entrepreneur, you probably know this, So when you want to talk or interface with a company and exchange confidential information, what do you provide? An NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, a CA or a confidentiality agreement. These students have done it. They are learning about term sheets and letters of intent, not just for the acquisition itself, but for financing. As far as financing, they're learning about documents, right? So for debt, we call those credit agreements. For preferred stock, it's a pref agreement. For common stock, it's subscription agreements or investor docs.
Yeah.
They've worked on this stuff right now.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actual acquisition, think about the documents required. If it's an asset acquisition, it's an asset acquisition agreement. If it's a stock purchase agreement, a merger agreement, a contribution agreement.
Yeah.
If it's a public company, you're doing, 34 Act stuff, You may work on a proxy, for example, or an information statement, advising shareholders in a public company, on a matter that needs to be voted on, an acquisition. Like, they're learning all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what's sick, bro? Sick. My friends are all attorneys. Not all attorneys. I have friends who are attorneys. Mm-hmm. And I asked them, so what's the readiness like of these students coming out of school? Mm-hmm. They all say utterly worthless. They are completely and woefully not prepared. Like, what are you talking about? They go to law school. Yeah, but they're not like I'm telling you, they learn enough to pass the bar.
Yeah. No real world experience.
Zero. They're pretty much being trained from scratch, but because they're not getting the respect they deserve, they're not being thrown into the deep end of the pool and saying, I want you to take a look at this document and I want you to revise it or create a new one to get our goal. They're just not trusted.
Right.
They're part of what they would call drafting teams of 5, 6, 7, 8 attorneys that are all working on one little piece of an agreement each. Mm-hmm. It's bananas, and these law students I would put up against any single law student now. They know how to conduct a merger start to finish. And before, they formed a new company for us, a C Corp. They put bylaws together. If it was an LLC, they put together an operating agreement. They just got escrow opened up with a big trust company, a multi-billion-dollar trust company. They negotiated the entire escrow agreement. They did. Now, they're supervised by 2 major law firms, right? I mean, we're not going to let them get themselves in trouble, us in trouble, but we are going to let them fail.
Right.
We want to see them fail and then learn from those failures.
And then they have jobs afterwards, right?
I mean, some of the students at Operation Inspire in the business side have gotten incoming job offers for $250,000 to $300,000. Wow. You know what the average salary is? For a lawyer? For business people graduating, it's $86,000.
Right.
They're getting triple and quadruple the offers.
Out of college.
It's bananas.
I made $150 a week plus commission.
I made $200 a week. I made $12,000.
Well, you were in Manhattan. I was in Rochester. It was about the same, right?
I had a higher cost of living than you did.
You had a better couch to sleep on, right?
Yeah, so they're crushing it, brother. I'm so proud of them. I mean, you want to talk about hard work. Mm-hmm. So I had multiple goals with this. Number one is just to improve student outcomes. Why? Because we talked about rankings, and what drives rankings? Student outcomes.
Right.
So I wanted to demonstrate, hey, we can use these tools if we just give confidence to these students and give them enough rope, to work with to bring it home.
Yeah.
You got, these are smart kids.
Yeah.
Really smart. Yeah. They're a lot smarter than I was.
Yeah.
And they can do a lot of things that I can't, especially when it comes to AI and coding and this and that. Right. That's all foreign to me. I don't know what the hell that shit is.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they were born with an iPad, right? I mean,
unbelievable. Yeah. And so they're working on a deal right now. It's a $230 million raise. Wow. They've circled $60 million already from a couple of private equity. I can't name them. Some high net worth individuals. And I guarantee you, as we're on this right now, they're casting a wide net.
What is the reaction when these firms get called by a student?
What an amazing question. Mm-hmm. So the students in the beginning said, I'm really nervous, to get in the phone. I'm like, that's cool. I was nervous too.
Yeah.
I was nervous. Yeah, but they're not going to take students seriously. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Is that in your head or real? Let's find out.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Is that in your head? I'm like, let me tell you something, okay? If a banker or a stockbroker or some person calls me, I've got a great deal. I basically hang up on them.
Yeah.
If a student calls me and says, hey, Mr. Mirman, I'm a student at ABC, part of a group who's trying to work on a real project, a real merger and acquisition, and I'd love to share it with you. I would stop everything to listen to it.
Use youth and students to their advantage.
Dude, the most common thing we hear from investors or from other companies when these students present is, God, I wish I had this when I was in school.
Yeah.
It's probably coming out of most of the mouths of the people that we talk to, and they cannot believe it.
Yeah.
We had a board member of a company that, is a multi-billion-dollar business. Look at the financial model they put together. And, one of the individuals, Nihar Sodani and Mikhail Markin, shout out to you boys, walked through the model with the investor and showing, what work they did, what the goals were, how they arrived. Guy said, I've actually never seen a model like this ever.
Blown away, yeah.
I'm telling you, and I challenge anybody listening. We would show you the work product these guys have done.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm so blessed to be around these kids. I call them kids. They're in their 20s.
Young adults, right?
Young adults, but
yeah.
if you have if you show that you're confident, the things that they can achieve are just incredible.
Yeah.
So goal 1 was student outcomes, right? Goal 2 was improving their lives financially. So what we committed to do as part of the closing is that $50,000 net, it'd be $66,667 gross, so net of taxes 50, gets paid to every student towards their tuition.
Yeah.
If they're towards the tail end of their careers, then whatever's left in their student accounts gets cut to them as a check. That's life-changing.
Wow.
And the third, so that's great. The third reason, which I didn't really understand when I started, is, and this really just touches my heart in a huge way, are the international students. So think about it. You're here on a student visa, an F1.
Yeah.
And you're here to study. You are permitted to work, but just a limited number of hours. I think the max is 15 hours a week. Otherwise, you're a worker, an employee, and that's not what you came here on.
Right. Yeah.
But what happens when they're done with school?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah. They're not working, quote unquote working, right?
You don't get a job by a certain amount of time. You go home.
Yeah.
You don't get to stay here.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. So upon closing a transaction, that company will sponsor the international students.
Wow.
I mean, this is life-changing
So they get to stay.
They get to stay.
Yeah.
And
that was unexpected.
I didn't know that, but it's not just a company that will close the acquisition. It's people that we've spoken to who now know the whole story. Like, we want to help. We'd be willing to sponsor a few of your students. There's one private equity shop. I'll shout out George. We'll keep him anonymous for now.
I met George on the phone.
George. I love George.
Yeah. Great guy.
It's like, oh my God, these students are off the charts. I mean, this is incredible, the way they think, the way they set goals, the way they develop plans, the way they work together as a team, the way they pitch, all this stuff. It's like, I'd love to hire a few of them right out of school, and I would sponsor them. And it's other people too.
Yeah.
It's crazy, So I'm really proud of it, and I really want people to understand how much you can learn on the fly. It's not even experiential when you think about it. It's immersive. You're in the deep end. You don't have floaties, but you learned certain tools on maybe how to tread water or how to swim, but you've never tried it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you're in the deep end of the pool now. Now swim.
Yeah.
Or sink.
Yeah.
And they all swim.
They've all swim.
Swim.
Yeah.
And this is the most important thing I've done in my career in life. It's really demonstrated that you can prepare somebody for the real world while they're in school if you give them a chance to put the tools they've learned in a real activity.
They're rising to the challenge. We can expect so much more from these students, is what you're saying, right?
It's amazing, man. There's an old story. I know we're running out of time.
No, we're good. We're good.
Captain is on a ship, and he comes with his soldiers to the shores of an enemy island. And they're vastly outnumbered, they determine, before they get off the ship. So the captain orders everybody off the ship, and then he burns the ship.
Burns the boat.
Lights it on fire.
Yeah.
Now you don't have a choice.
Right,
You either win or you die.
Yeah.
And the inspiration, like the need to win, got them into a position to win. And it's the same thing with these students.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're in the deep end. Either you swim or you're out. And it's anybody who wants to come and actually check out these students in real time and see what they do. We have meetings every Friday, 9:30 to 12:30. Feel free to come and check it out.
And you travel from downstate like every week, every other week.
I do. So I'm not just a donor. I put the money up for all the operational expenses for Operation Inspire. They are paid. And for all the resources and all that other good stuff. But I think what really separated me from other donors is it's not just a check. I put in like 40 to 50 hours a week training, encouraging, pumping up.
You have an office
working.
now.
I do have an office.
Professor Avi.
They hire anybody nowadays. But it's like, it's pretty amazing, man. It's wild. So for anybody who's actually listening that wants to see this in action, come on down, hit us up.
We gotta somehow figure out how to get a press release to major media outlets. I mean, you should be on Bloomberg, Today's Show,
So
et
we were
cetera.
offered that, but we decided that we're going to wait until the actual transaction closes because
Beautiful.
then it's, hey, well, the reality is, and you can look it up on AI or Google or whatever, no school in American history has ever done this before.
Yeah.
They have not done a real deal using real capital with just students.
Right.
Sure, you might have a couple people, drop out from Stanford and go to a venture fund and try to raise $100,000 to start their entrepreneurial business. But that's not what this is.
Right.
This is 36, 37 students broken up into teams working on the goal of closing a deal. When that deal closes, it's game over.
Yeah.
And then after that deal closes, the next step is build the company.
Yeah.
And they put together a strategic plan for the day after.
Wow.
So there's an entire 18-page step-by-step guide on what to do the day they close.
Wow.
It's not, oh, well, think about it. And remember, they're going to be employees there, and they deserve to be employees because they brought it home.
Yeah.
And then they're tasked in a few years, hopefully it's sooner than later, with selling the company, putting it through an auction process, exactly what investment banks do.
And they can all benefit from that financially, too.
I mean, massively.
Yeah,
That's how I've made most of the money in my career.
Right.
So anyway, I know we have 4 minutes left.
No, we're good to go. We can go a little bit more. So that's just a clock.
I'm really proud of it, man. And
You know what? I'm and kudos to you for inventing something, right, that no one's ever done before. And I'm trying to envision, because academia is a very stable, safe world, right? And Hurricane Avi comes in, right?
Oh boy.
How I'm sure like Mike Brace is excited. He gets it. The president is excited. The dean you said is excited. How do all other professors? How are they dealing with Hurricane Avi? Like, what's that like?
So I gave an update on Operation Inspire to about 40 or 50 faculty and staff a couple days ago, actually. I hadn't met most of them. I think I received like a dozen emails from people saying, this is incredible. I love this. How can I help? How can I be involved?
Good.
You're changing lives.
Yeah.
It's been pretty amazing. There are a few, I don't want to name them at this point, that have gone above and beyond to assist the students that are amazing. And I mean, it's been incredible. Look, Dean Iyer and Gwen Applebaum, who is the chief of staff at School of Management, have just been, next level fantastic.
That's great. So good support. They're not threatened by you.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, the goal is, upon flipping the company, the first $100 million in proceeds or a certain percentage, whichever's less, goes to the school as a donation.
Wow.
So, this acquisition is a $230 million raise. It's a $400 to $450 million deal. We're anticipating a flip in 3 years, notwithstanding different parameters or things we're not in control of $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
So the net proceeds are significant, and we plan on making a $100 million donation to the school in the name of the students.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Wow.
I don't think that's been done either.
I'm sure it has.
No.
Yeah.
We want to this is a goal.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm super proud of. And the stakes are high.
Yeah.
Remember, citizenship, the ability to get a much better job, the ability to sit in an interview and actually walk through what a merger acquisition looks like, knowing everything, start to finish.
Yeah.
When
I've done it, right? So,
this isn't just textbook stuff. Like, here's what I did. Let me show you what I did. And I'll show you start to finish how I actually identified an acquisition and close it with using real capital.
Yeah.
These employers are going to be like, what?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You're in. You're hired.
Yeah. You're better than most people I have right on staff right now.
That's true, but it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Look, we talked to a family office that manages $1 billion in capital, and we kind of showed up the entire process that we take in order to process a deal, right? Funding sources get deal flow all the time. Companies come in looking for capital, whatever.
Yeah.
I show them the basic, process that we utilize, the different teams, the tools, and all that stuff. And they're like, "Look, we've been doing this for decades, and we're not even anywhere near what you do. Would you like to collaborate? And would you mind being our back end processing system?" Think about that.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Students, can you put a model like that together? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you run traps? Diligence isn't just financial. It's operational. It's compliance. It's legal. It's other stuff.
Yeah.
And the team does all that.
Yeah.
And they're just blown away, man.
Right.
You know what? I'd rather people see it than listen to me.
Yeah.
So if they want to come and check it out, it's my challenge to you. It's my invitation to you.
Yeah.
Come meet these students. And if you're an employer, you should definitely come meet these students.
I love it.
I am telling you, there is no possibility of you finding somebody who's as qualified as that. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
Coming right out of school.
Yeah. If anybody wants an intro to Avi, David at davidmamano.com. I'll give you a personal intro. He's fantastic. I guess I just want to end. So super fantastic for University of Buffalo, Western New York. Mm-hmm. How do everybody, how do we model this at other schools? How do we expand this incredible miracle that you've created?
We have to find donors who are retired and have skills in certain areas. One is sales, super important. You yourself gave a speech yesterday, and I think the first thing that you suggested or advised students on was get your presentation skills up and try it. Yep. Because you're always selling yourself, whether it's raising money or, you're selling yourself to an employer.
Everyone's in sales. Everyone's in sales.
So you need somebody who's like a force salesperson. The second, if you're working on a merger or acquisition, somebody who understands mergers and acquisitions, deal structuring and financing, capital, all that stuff. If it's an M&A project you're working on, if it's on something else, got to be an expert in that. And then the third thing is I just think you need to be a good leader and manager. You need to know how to teach students how to establish a goal and develop a plan and assess things as you're continuing on. Those three things. And I think it's going to be hard to find people, to be honest. But if you're listening, man, I'm telling you, you want to feel fulfilled, you should really step up and do it.
Well, you've done some great things. You've done amazing things, massively 10 out of 10 successful in the business world. And very proud of you for that. I know you're proud of yourself, and your family and friends are as well. But God, I mean, I am feeling like this is the most fulfilling work you've ever done.
It is. It's amazing. I mean, listen, after decades of working, you kind of go through the motions a little bit. Sure, you'll be pumped up every once in a while or whatnot, but this has changed me more than it's changed the students.
I've never seen you so alive, and you were freaking alive before.
I was alive before, but this is just crazy. The last thing I'll say to you before we actually launched the entire effort towards putting a plan together was I had each student do their career manifestos. And a career manifesto is simply showing where you've come from, and I want to see transparency, vulnerability. I want to hear the hard stuff, the painful stuff. But then I want you to develop a plan towards hitting your career goals, short-term, midterm, long-term. And some of the stories, off the charts. I talked to you about one individual who grew up in a refugee camp till he was 11. There's one individual who lived in a remote village in India who hitchhiked on a milk van every day to school 60 miles away. Woke up at 4, came home at 11. One student who I love to death, called Moishe for now, not his real name, he'll know what I'm talking about, escaped Russia. When Russia invaded Ukraine, he became a very vocal anti-war activist. And that's a no-no in Russia. I mean, you disappear when you
end up dead or Siberia.
So they came looking for him. And he had to escape with his mom to Buffalo and set up a new life. His friends said, listen, you can't come back. They're waiting for you. How do I know that? The career manifesto. And I'm getting chills right now.
Me
but too. If you read all the career manifestos, you want to talk about a bonding experience. And it's also a way truly to kind of show a potential employer who you truly are to the core. But I don't look at Operation Inspire as a group of students working on a goal. I look at it as a family, as a fraternity. They all have each other's backs in a mega way.
Brother, sisterhood, big time, huh?
It's tremendous. Again, I urge anybody who's listening to come down. Jacobs 122, Fridays, 9:30 to 12:30. Just let us know in advance.
So the invite's open to everybody.
It is, and
other universities. I mean, you want to spread this if you can, right?
Universities, we have hundreds of other students that are basically waiting for the application process next semester. I mean, it's a huge backlog. If you're a student that is contemplating going to business school and you want to take a look at what a school that actually puts you, to work on a real deal looks like, you should come and talk with us and talk to the students. I'd put us up against any business school out there. I mean, you just cannot compete with real life experiences while in school. It's open to anybody. If you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, a donor, you should come and check it out.
Love it.
Tell me if I'm crazy.
Avi Mirman, You are a friend, a brother, a change maker, a trailblazer, making a huge difference. And you're still a young guy. I mean, 55 you're still a baby.
I'm a baby.
You're still in diapers over here, but you're already leaving a legacy. You already got a great. I mean, a lot of people successful like you can't leave a legacy until they're in their 70s or 80s. You're doing it. You're doing it now. So
thanks, brother. I'm
congratulations.
getting more out of it than they are. But yeah, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win for sure. I love you, brother. Thank you.
I love you too. I miss you, brother.
Thank you for
it's
doing
been only 24 hours since I've seen you.
I know. I spoke last night at UB. You came. Thank you. And thank you, Mike Brace, for having me in your class. And then you woke up early this morning coming to Rochester, New York to our studio. We appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right, Avi. People want to reach out to you. What is the best way? LinkedIn, email you?
LinkedIn's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And like I said, if you really want to meet Avi, you don't mind if I make a personal connection through email, david@davidmamano.com. Thanks again, Avi. You are a tremendous human, and I'm so glad you were born.
So are you. Love you, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Love you too. I also love all of you, our viewers, our listeners. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that you got chills as well and goosebumps. This was a fantastic, energizing episode interview here. It makes me full of piss and vinegar again. I want to run through the brick wall and make things happen in my life as well. So thank you very much. I want to wish everybody a great journey ahead this week, and make sure to have an awesome day ahead and stay awesome.
I like it.